What's up, everyone? I'm live again, and we're gonna get this cracking. And we're gonna touch this whole subject of carb cycling. Not my favorite subject, but it does have its place in terms of people developing chronic hypoglycemia doing keto. So let's get this going. You guys are chiming in. Hello, everyone. There's two people in chat, and I will be saying hello intermittently as people come in. So for those watching the replay who want me to just go on and on and on and on and on and avoid people saying hello, that's not my style. So what's up, everyone? Leto Keto, hello. Yes, my hybrid bike, yes. All right, everyone's joining the chat right now, and it's going up pretty fast. Don't forget to like up the stream, because we're going to talk about, is there a need to carb cycle, doing a ketogenic protocol, kind of like break it down, deconstruct it, and kind of analyze it a little bit more. You're first with me, Casey. All right, well, cool. Oh, from Japan. Definitely have to go to Japan. You guys know I've spoken about going to Japan. All right. Yes, glad to catch me live. So I'm going to go and explain to you guys the whole concept of carb cycling on keto, because that's my lane. And then I'm going to take your guys' questions. I might do a story, and then I'm out. So with that said, oh, from China. We got China going on as well. I think you were in, yeah, Julia. I think I've seen you before. All right. Hello from Vegas. It's very close to here. All right, guys. So people try to do a ketogenic version of carb cycling. So they might go 7 days or 10 days and 2 days of refeeding back onto the carbohydrates. They believe that they're going to push their metabolism along by restoring glycogen storages. The problem with that is, and there's a place for cycling in your carbs, and for a longer term, not short term. So Trinidad and Tobago. I've never been to Trinidad. Yeah, I've been to Cuba, been to the Virgin Islands. All right, so here we go. So if you decide to do a 7-day keto week or a 10-day keto week, and then to decide to recycle back in your carbs for 2 days, the problem with that is that your body is trying to utilize the ketones that are being produced. Now, everybody's going to produce some level of ketones. It's very rare that I see a 0.1 in ketones, but I have seen people not be able to go higher than a 0.6 or 0.9 when their fats are too low or when they keep cycling their carbohydrates in too soon. So here's the dichotomy. You could do keto and try to actually adapt and have the benefits of actually using ketones, or you could keep cycling in your carbs thinking you're going to push your metabolism along and literally rebound with the way the pancreas works. So now your blood sugar becomes very, very unstable when people recycle back into carbs. The insulin's going to shoot up super, super high. The glycogen storages are going to be refilled for the short term, but the insulin's going to spike and stack in the bloodstream. So, and then there's the centers of the brain. You're doing 2 days of what? Ideal protein. Okay, throw the ideal protein, burn it, and run from it, and you just got robbed. It just try to steal your money, the ideal protein, which is absolute garbage. All right, sorry not to be rude. But anyway, I digress. So the problem is your body's trying real hard to develop the enzymes to then make the conversion of this body fat into acetyl-CoA and acetoacetate. It's very hard to have that conversion end up in the bloodstream, then into the cells, then into Krebs cycle, into the past the blood-brain barrier when you keep refeeding. Because it takes time for your body to stop going into gluconeogenesis, right? Because the brain becomes so addicted to carbohydrates because, of course, we grow up on grains and sugars and all this processed food. And so we really are used to high amounts of glucose. So you could have a piece of toast, and then that can have from 28 to 33 grams of carbohydrate in it, depending on how processed bread is. And then you can go and have two and have almost up to 60 grams of carbohydrate. And then you can add in some spread, some jam spread, a glass of juice or a glass of wine, whatever, and get your carbs up towards 80 carbs. So the pancreas doesn't work that way. It doesn't understand 80 grams of glucose or carbohydrates then entering the blood sugar and raising your glucose levels. It's not used to that. So it'll always have to overshoot your insulin to drive down all that blood sugar. And a lot of people recycle as their cheat days, recycle on a lot of very processed carbohydrates, which shoots their blood sugar up and their insulin up. It creates a rebound. Then people have this sort of really strong. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much for donating to the super chat. I really appreciate the acknowledgement that you like what I'm doing with this kind of stuff. But, so with that said, let's keep going to not recycle in your carbohydrates. And then I'm just going to take your questions so I don't go too long on this topic. So what I've noticed with coaching with people is that they add carbs back in, they feel better, right? Because they were never adapted in that 7 days or in these 10 days. As soon as they eat all those carbohydrates, they feel good for a couple of days. If you do not use a glucometer and don't realize how high your blood sugar spikes to super high diabetic levels when you refeed on starches, especially the processed food. And people feel like, oh, I've got energy back because I've got the water, right? Because carbohydrates. So for every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you eat, your body can hold up to 4 grams of water, or commonly around 2.8 to 3. But you can go as high as to 4 grams, and that's a lot of water. That's why people eat carbohydrates are very puffy, and then when they drop the carbs, a lot of water is dumped out via the kidneys, and then there's that whole confusion of, are you actually dropping fat on the scale, or are you just dropping water for the short term? But with that said, people feel great for a couple of days, and all of a sudden, the blood sugar becomes very, very unstable. It doesn't really know what to do. What's up, Deborah? Got my mod in the house. No problems yet. No, I haven't seen any because I stand so far away, so I can actually, you guys can see me, and then I can actually see the chat because I'm about 5 feet away from my phone. So right now I'm taking notes, right? Because like one woman, of course, another woman complaining, oh my God, you stop answering questions and just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, geez, rude. And of course I responded, no, because I'm almost 51 and I am too stuck in my ways to listen to you one person, honey. All right, so with that said, so people have this rebound of blood sugar, and it takes days to stabilize it again. It becomes 3 times more difficult to try to go back into the level of not ketosis or sort of like, but not keto adapted, but to moderate and get their blood sugar back into homeostatic balance. It becomes very difficult. If you were balancing it before you refed and then you refeed back on to the carbs, you'll notice crazy rebound. Then comes the cravings, right? Because now the brain wants the glucose again. It just got used to not having this high amount of glucose within the bloodstream, and then comes the cravings, right? The pleasure centers, the need, the not adapting, right? Because you're not adapting your blood sugar. When I watch people who try to do a keto diet, which they tend to do it wrong because they do a dirty keto diet, and they're not adapting, and that's why when they add back in these carbs, they feel better, but then the blood sugar's like super crazy, super all over the place, and with that, you don't feel well. And then maybe 2 weeks down the line, your immune system takes a dump. You try to go back onto keto, but you can't get back to where you were, so it's kind of starting again. And so you try to restart again, and then you refeed again. So there is no keto and cycling just because you think it's going to boost your metabolism. That's not physiology. That's not how it works with insulin. That's not how your pancreas works, or broken metabolism, or thyroid issues, or adrenal insufficiencies, or high amounts of cortisol within the bloodstream. If you're very cortisol driven, you're very adrenal driven, and then you deplete and replete and deplete and replete, the homeostatic balance, the insulin glucagon ratio doesn't stay balanced anymore. Blood sugar, it starts to get high and drop, and then people start to have this physiological insulin resistance rebound from refeeding and then taking away and then repleting, and it doesn't boost your metabolism, it actually breaks it. irritates the thyroid hormone production, your adrenals start freaking out, and then quite potentially, if you start refeeding too often, you can downregulate your serotonin and really become addicted to the carbohydrates because you get a serotonin boost every time you eat a starch, and then you get the glycogen repletion, and then you have this rebound of serotonin. So that's why people feel better for the short term, and then they try to go back onto keto, and it makes no sense. They don't adapt. They're not ripped. They're not healthy. They didn't clear up any psoriasis or shingles or, their diabetic issues, or nothing gets cleared up, or their reproductive hormonal balance is never balanced. Never seen it once. And so now I'm going to talk about how you would refeed for a different reason. So the reason why I would have anybody refeed back onto carbohydrates is because of the thyroid problem. But then you wouldn't refeed for 2 days, you would refeed for a month or two. You start over again, like really, really start over. But this time you're going to cut out all the processed carbohydrates, and you're going to go with, I prefer that you start with higher in carbohydrate vegetables and keep your fats high. But some people are just so hypoglycemic, they've got to go back on the starches. So that would be either sweet potato, very small amounts of white rice, but white rice doesn't have any nutrition, but it will refuel your gut. It will refuel your glycogen storages enough to get you through the next feeding and the next one and the next one. And berries aren't going to do that for you. So with that said, I have some people go back on to carbohydrates or starches because they're so hypoglycemic. They've got leaky gut. Oh, is something going on with my phone? Is everything's cool, right? You guys can see me? My phone just flashed, like as if there was a glitch. You guys still there? Okay, good. I was like, what's going on? I don't want to it was buffering. Is it still buffering, you guys? I'm good. Okay, thanks, Gary. Let me know, Gary. All right, so hopefully we're good now, because I don't like when the video gets scuffed. It had cut out for a minute. By now. I'm like, how long did I talk? Jeez. I hope that you guys were hearing what I was talking about in terms of I have people go back on to starches and carbs that literally start to develop hair loss, low libido, muscle loss, and lethargy, super low cortisol or inverted cortisol, and hypoglycemia on keto. I'm like, all right, it's time to take you off. But we're not going to go back to your old diet, right? We're going to go back to a graduation of carbs into keto diet. Give it more time. Work on fixing that gut. Work on fixing that sleep. Because if you guys aren't sleeping and then you're having this hypoglycemia rebound response from not keto adapting, if you're not adapting, your blood sugar is either going to remain low or high. It typically is not in a balance because we live very stressed lives where our homeostasis is not there. So I might have people do like all the vegetables that are higher in carbohydrate, like yellow squash and anything that they're not sensitive to. If you're sensitive to nightshades, don't have them. If you're fine with nightshades, saute, cook, no salads. And I would have you on low glycemic fruits, like if you can handle them, even though I'm starting to understand more this idea of Frankenstein vegetation, and I'm understanding more why people are doing the carnivore diet when it comes to having autoimmunity. But with that said, and not for weight loss. So with that said, if you go back onto carbohydrates, make sure that these plant source foods that you can digest well and stabilize your blood sugar. What I was saying before the thing cut out was there's more potassium in cooked spinach than there is in a banana, but a banana has fructose. This is going to add water back into the cells and make you hold on to potassium more than spinach. So that's why people will feel better in the short term on banana that's Frankenstein rather than spinach if you have super low potassium and hypoglycemia. This is certain populations. This is definitely not everyone, just FYI. So I can't see any questions right now, so don't even bother. Don't even bother. I'm almost done. And then once I come back and I can get closer to the camera, then I want you guys to recycle some of these questions that I can't even see right now. You guys are just too far away. So I'll have people get off of keto because they start having low T3 and their thyroid symptoms, constipation, can't sleep, hair loss. If that persists, you have to go off because it's just, you don't have enough gasoline to drive the tank, even though I'm not into the carbs for fuel. You know, I'm not. But if you're not using viable ketones, you have to go back to eating some of these plants. Now, back to the carnivore diet, which is quite interesting, that maybe perhaps if you're having the rebound, right, of all of these issues with keto, maybe perhaps that the foods that you're eating on keto are not dealing and addressing the actual C-reactive protein, the inflammatory markers, or any type of inflammation antibodies that are appearing in the body. Like perhaps that if you, and I don't know this to be a fact, but I'm starting to experiment with people in my keto course groups. I say this every broadcast. I never promoted it for the first almost 2 years, but now I'm really promoting it. So it's a keto course. It's a private group on my Facebook. It's a pay group at $15 a month. You can do 1 month or mini months. It's just up to you. But this way, it's in a course structure and also group interaction. A lot of group interaction. I really encourage you guys to communicate with each other, and I'm moderating it. Plus, there's course topics. But I digress. So I'm starting to experiment a lot with people in this group with trying to cut out some of the veggies to see if their insomnia goes away. You guys know I'm experimenting with a lot of organ meats. I didn't talk about organ meats because I wasn't eating organ meats. And then I was like just listening to everybody say how terrible they taste, which is such garbage bullcrap. So if you think something's bad and you're like, oh, it tastes so bad, it's bitter. I'm like, bitter? It's not bitter. I don't know how people think that organ meats are bitter. They are more, the texture of them is more like that, pate paste. It's not like muscle meat type of texture, but for some reason, because I ate liver as a child, I love it. People tend to like heart more because it has less of that muddy texture to it, but I like it. And I'm just like, I started to feel like maybe the chicken thigh and the drummy and even like the salmon, which is great, but it's not going to have all of the nutrients that I need. What about the eggs or the, what else? Lamb. Every once in a while I'll have some lamb near the rib or some pork belly or ground beef, obviously, and ribeye and steak and all these fatty cuts of meat. And trust me, I think I will go the next video and you guys got to see my freezer. I have all different kind of meats stacked up to the brim. I've got meats, I've got bones, I've got friggin' all of it stacked up in my freezer. And I just felt like I'm not getting enough nutrient density from these meats, right? So I don't consume, before I was saying, oh, eat 9 cups of veggies. But now I'm sort of trying to understand how the anti-nutrients in foods, and people with leaky gut maybe just never heal their guts. And a lot of you guys have gut issues. So I started thinking about the meats that I'm eating, which are great, but sometimes they don't have as much nutrient density as organ meats, for example, which we ate more in the wild. Ooh, it glitched again. I hope it's not glitching, stupid thing. You guys, is it glitching again? Are we good, or? Deborah or Gary, give me a sign if it's glitching. Okay, good. Technology. Okay, good. So, I need to drink some water. I feel it when I'm talking and expelling water. So I'm starting to kind of bounce back and forth with this idea of eating the most high quality protein, fatty meats that you can, and lowering your vegetables because we are herbivores, but maybe we potentially don't have to eat as much plant source foods as once thought, as long as the proteins that you're consuming are high in nutrient density and have the fat soluble vitamins and have zinc in it and have other types high in the B complex and omegas in them and CLAs and whatnot. I started thinking maybe in selenium, maybe we are so deficient in certain of the micronutrients that we've got to put you back onto carbs to rehydrate the cell to then hold on to certain, at least the electrolytes. Because that's the major problem, right? People having headaches, their energy is super low, they're not adapting. So this is still an experimentation. I'm still thinking about what if you went solid organ meat, fresh, I hate this word, fresh slaughter. I know I'm a hypocrite in that context, but I have to get used to that word, fresh slaughter, local farm, and up your fat. So when you do sort of a keto carnivore thing, you get a real keto diet, minus the obsession with dirty keto, with the cream cheese and the nut butters and all this garbage. If you just cut it out and eat as clean as possible, perhaps that would stop your chronic reactive hypoglycemia. You have so much nutrient dense fatty meats that potentially that you're able to utilize those carbohydrates instead of your brain still looking for glucose. So that's something that I'm experimenting with right now. Yeah, so if you just lightly saute your liver, then the carb count is not high. So the problem is when people overcook their meats, that's going to raise the carb count in liver. But you saute it, it's going to have vitamin C, it's going to have all of these B complex, B12, heme that we're missing, K2, we're going to have friggin' the cholesterol that we need and the omegas that we need, potassium. It's not high in potassium, but there's a little potassium in organ meats. So the point is that sometimes I have people go off of keto, and especially if you're not eating high quality meats, and graduate yourself slowly down over 5 weeks, and make sure that this time, the second time you do keto, and when you refeed back on the carbs, this time you want to make sure that you hit circadian rhythms, that you diaphragmatic breathe, that you pay attention to the upper trunk as far as being straight, that plumb line, so you don't get that C shape in your upper trunk, which creates a lot of circulation problems, especially people who work at desks, to make sure that you get enough magnesium into your diet, because unfortunately, because you're dropping water out of the cell. Now, it's not permanent. You do sort of, people are like bodybuilders, like, I get so flat on keto. Obviously, guys, I'm not flat. I have very full muscle. So your body learns how to rebalance its water in the cell. Yeah, I think that's what I want to cover. And then you graduate slowly. So then when you do go full keto again, the body won't be just hypoglycemic and thyroid reactive. So you won't have low energy and start to be super adrenal driven and super catabolic. All right, I'm going to take your guys' questions. There's not a lot of people watching today. I'm pretty surprised. Maybe because it's Friday? Yeah, because it's Friday. So, there's 38 people and around 58 to 60 people like about this stream. Let's get this freaking likes up because I'm about to sit down and take your guys' questions. Here we go. All right, guys, if you had questions I couldn't see while talking, I'm ready now. Chicken liver is like served for women who've got low iron. Then I would presume that chicken liver, which has way higher levels of iron, it would be better. But when it comes to the amount of B complex in beef, then beef is superior. Like up the stream, Auntie Val says, you missed the explanation. Oh, just watch the replay because it was, 25 minutes of an explanation. No, green plantains, no. That's not keto. That's not keto. You mean if you put it in context, then maybe I'll be able to answer you. I find it to be overwhelming to get started. What do you recommend to do to get started? Thank you. What is it? Sir Sire Deluxe. Thank you so much for donating that tenner to the super chat. And so for anyone who's donating, if you have a question, that donation, I can see the questions more clearly. So thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, Deborah's like, yay, and I'm like, yay too. Okay, so what was that question about how do you start? Okay, I need to stand up for this. Okay, so when you start a ketogenic diet, you have to get your macros. The problem is, get rid of the dirty keto concept because you'll never adapt, ever. And a lot of health problems start with dirty keto. People are like, I'm hypoglycemic, I have lethargy, I have chronic fatigue, and I was told to drink butter coffee, and all this garbage. People don't adapt. 3,000 videos on why, or 2,500 or something. So you want to get high quality meats, all fatty, super fatty. The fattier the cut. Is that? Oh, thank you, Ursula. Thank you so much. Guys, you guys who are donating, ask a question. That'd be awesome. So you want to start with the fattiest cut of meat. Please, you guys, try to get pastured, non-GMO corn-fed if you can. And if you're in the States, there are companies like US Wellness Meats and ButcherBox that can send this stuff to you if you're in an area where you have a hard time getting healthier meat, essentially, healthier protein. You want to keep your carbohydrate count quite low, so you could either do 20 net or 20 total carbohydrate. Just make sure that in the beginning, as you're trying to adapt, to cook your plant source foods. Because the salicylates and the oxalates and the goitrogens and nightshades and phytates and all this kind of stuff tends to people who eat salads on keto, they seem to have a gut dysbiosis. Salads seem very convenient, but if they're creating any type of gut inflammation, ketones tend to waver pretty low, even though people eat a ton of fat. So I would get rid of the salads, and I would eat like 3 meals a day and 2 snacks in between, and just fat load and get your fats up to 200 grams of fat. And again, your vegetables should be in the cruciferous family. Now I'm getting mad. Why is it doing this? Do I have to cut the stream short? Oh, no scuffed freaking live videos. Okay, remember when lowering carbs, you will need to keep electrolytes, especially if you're not feeling well. Yes. Sorry, maybe this, you guys. Oh, shoot. Stephanie live stream just stopped. I know. It shows on my phone too. So I'm not going to keep this long because it's so scuffed today, and I don't like that. Scuffed means crappy quality. Okay, hi Steph. Doing keto properly help with one's brain working faster, having greater clarity, brain plasticity. What about depression? So Christina, the depression thing is really important because a lot of you guys have gut dysbiosis. So just because you do keto does not mean that you have mental clarity. You actually have to become very highly adapted, which means that you got to really work on that gut flora strength and really work on the damage of the small intestinal wall for then to have this signal from vagus nerve back up to the brain to not constantly stimulate your adrenals and be catabolic. Constant stimulation of the adrenals can make you anxious and nervous and depressed. Plus, if you don't use enough ketones, your serotonin keeps just dumping in the toilet if you don't adapt. So I always say to people, if you do keto the wrong way because you don't have the discipline, because you have a hard time following my protocol, which is probably the most strict version of keto, which is more realistic because such a small amount of people actually adapt because they don't adhere to what you actually have to do, which is also get better sleep and hit circadian rhythms and detox those screwed up organs. Like people have junky livers, their gallbladder. A lot of women have too much estrogen in their gallbladder. A lot of women are not pooping and recycling back into their bloodstream that estrogen. And I mean, so many women are estrogenic, even the young ones. And so you have to fix all of those issues at the same time. as trying to adapt, even to the point where you have to chew your food slower. Because if you chew protein and swallow it and you don't chew it down to a liquid, that body has to work harder to break it down. And what's being constantly shoved in the stomach like this, get backed up, the body starts releasing things into the small intestine when things aren't that have not been fully digested, and now your blood sugar is spiking from the excess protein. And you got to chew your food until it's liquid to then not have a glucose spike, which is also another problem with people, that if you eat too much protein, you eat a chicken breast and you think it's ketotic because you put a piece of butter on it, and you chew it too fast because you're in a hurry because nobody has time to eat, then this is going to spike your glucose, block your keto adaptation. Don't believe me? Use a glucometer and test. You will see that your ketones are crap when you don't eat enough fat and you chew your protein too fast, period. Okay, keto brought down my blood sugar, brought my blood sugar down low to the 90s. Feel great. Your blood sugar must have been high if the 90s is making you feel better. For those in the rest of the world, 90s would be way too high. It's not in the hundreds, okay? Lower the pre-diabetic number, but you really want your glucose to be between 79 and 80 to be ketotic. And ketones up, it's not just the blood sugar, because you guys can have your blood sugar. What am I doing? Lord have mercy. I got to bend down, all this kind of stuff. I should just raise the camera. Okay, Deborah, must be a problem with my phone. Okay, 50 glucose in the morning. That's too low. Ooh, Powerful. I don't know. Now, in very rare cases, people can have glucose in their 50s and be fully ketotic. But 9 times out of 10, you got glucose in your 50s, you are hypoglycemic. I don't even care what your ketones are. It's just a problem for low. And that's the thing with people being afraid of doing keto, because you need enough blood sugar for your thyroid. For your red blood cells, for your thyroid. Clearly, if you have blood sugar in your 70s, you produce ample amount of glucose for your I gotta raise this business people here. Okay. This contraption I have my phone on is not like high tech, so excuse the constantly fixing it. My adrenals are at an all-time, okay, they're at an all-time low. So does that mean, Jack, that your cortisol is low? Because that's what low adrenal function would symbolize. And then people have this inverted cortisol at night. Just have demi-glazed steak with mushrooms and keto fire. Well, I hope that, Jason, you don't have any candida, so when you have the mushrooms. But it's just a little side note. Okay, I'm with you. I'm not depending on adapting either. Okay, so I don't know what you mean, Dom, so hope that's set in a good context. Yeah, my blood sugar was a lot higher before keto, sometimes over 100. Now it's 85 to 90. Okay, so yeah, so here's a great Jeff. So Jeff's glucose is between 85 to 90, which is not ketotic, and his blood sugar tended to go over 100, and who knows how it was when he was eating carbs. And then his ketones are between a 3 and a 4. Now, once they start going over a 3, it's too high. And that reflects on the numbers. Blood sugar too high drives the ketones can be high, which means ketones going higher and higher in the bloodstream mean they're not being used. They're not acidic, but they're not being used. So that's why we want a sweet spot of ketone range. They're either too low or too high. So your numbers are reflecting. Now you're getting better. They're not horrible, but we want to tighten up those ranges. Okay, thank you. Yes, and yeah, they're healing, but I just want the rest of the crowd to understand why I'm being critical of those numbers when Dom is feeling better. So I'm just contextualizing the numbers, not criticizing them. Do we have to weigh all fat from an animal? Well, in the beginning, Maya. So, I mean, a tablespoon is about 14 grams. So that makes it really, really simple when I say 200 grams of fat, right? 1 tablespoon, so you get to be around like 12 tablespoons, and then from like avocado or some of the meat fats, you could hit yourself easily over 200. Yeah, Dom's like, I'm shocked on how terrible I felt at blood sugar at 68. I should have felt good. No, you're not going to feel good if you're if that's a hypoglycemic number, you'll feel terrible. That means not enough ketone viability and too low blood sugar to feel balanced. That means your glycogen is depleted and you don't have enough gasoline for the tank. So, okay. Ooh, Lauren, hot flashes because your adrenals are screwed up. You have adrenal problems. That's adrenal right here. You should not be having hot flashes. Child, you are not sleeping well. You probably don't have enough fat. You probably have too much stress. Those are the things that make the adrenals start, when cortisol starts to be just vomited out of the adrenals and you start having flashes. Yeah, I don't know if you're drinking coffee. I don't know if you skip meals. I don't know if you do the intermittent fasting garbage. Dom, are you female? I don't know. 3 ounces measured cooked. And it really depends on the meat, Dom. Fasted blood sugar 85 and ketones 1.3, which is better. It's better. Oh, Keishel, okay, since my blood sugar. Keishel, you cut out the veggies, right? You're doing like a keto carnivore. What happened? What happened? Is that what made your blood sugar 48? And did you feel bad at 48? Because that's pretty low. You have more body anxiety. You have more anxiety in the evening, Lauren. Yeah, like I just don't know enough, Lauren. You need to like break down, like work this many hours. Is my video getting scuffed again? Work this many hours, sleep like this, wake up tired, drink coffee, don't that like all of those things are gonna matter in terms of you having hot flashes, unfortunately. Besitos. What's up, Jake? Hola, Jake. ¿Cómo se va? Oh no, that's French. Humor? Oh no, that's Swedish. Oh, when my veggies went down, I went to 48. I'm trying to eat about a cup of cooked veggies. Now, Kishel, did you feel really, really bad at that blood sugar at 48? And did you figure out what your ketones were? Because I'm very curious to know that. Oh, thanks for helping me with your adrenals. Like, oh, good. I hope so. So I'm very curious, Kishel, if you felt horrible on 48 milligrams per deciliter. Was it Mona Ray? You go to my website, which is stephanieperson.com. So Deborah, can you write stephanieperson.com so people can see what it looks like, the spelling? And you just sign up through the site. So my name obviously is Stephanie, STPHANIE, and person, PERSON.com. And you can't, whenever I do these live streams, I have all these people going to the Facebook group trying to be requested. I'm like, you didn't pay. Like, that's not to sound like a dick. But I'm like, you guys, it's like, it's something I work so hard on. I devote so much time to the content and moderating this page. So stephanieperson.com, that's how you sign up. Yes, thank you so much, Deborah. Where Deborah's also my mod there, who I've never met. She's just been so loyal and so amazing and has gone through rheumatoid arthritis and health issues herself. So she definitely has a lot of experience in the keto diet. And my husband just started keto a week ago. He keeps complaining his stomach hurts and keeps going to the bathroom. Okay, so Sasha, is that because he's eating coconut oil? So what you do is you have to experiment. If he has doing a lot of coconut oil, which might be giving him the stomach ache, get rid of it, right? Get rid of it for a couple of days. If he still has the stomach ache, it could be his gallbladder. Because the gallbladder works as an organ that releases salts to break down the fat so your body can stuff it in the bloodstream and use it. And if you have gallstones or gall sludge or no gallbladder in some cases, people feel a pressure or vomit it or loose stool when they don't have enough bile salts. So you got to figure that one out. Or he's got leaky gut, but it's either the coconut oil or he can be allergic to one of the fats if he's eating a lot of butter and he might be allergic, or it's the gallbladder and that's the pressure, stomach ache, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, Jeff, cool, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good evening. What is this? MDFU action packed. All right. What time is it? Okay, it's 6:30. I'm gonna go like 10 minutes more, guys. Miami. You guys, you can't, Ursula, you can't ask like a big broad stroke. Like, I don't know anything about you. And it's just so much work to talk about how to fix the adrenals. It really comes down to the individual. Some people just need to sleep better. Some people are arguing with spouses. Some people have, a parasite, and they have candida, and they have depression because their serotonin is low. I mean, I just need to know more to fix adrenal. Now, adrenal insufficiencies would be like eat high fat, eat moderate to low protein, make sure your food is of high quality. Don't eat a bunch of keto garbage packaged foods. Don't eat cheese. Don't drink coffee. Breathe, for frack's sake. Exercise, but don't exercise too much. Exercise at the right time. Eat at the right time. Like, there's a million things. So I just need to know, if I knew more your lifestyle habits. I mean, you guys, I do consultations for people who want me to go over what's going on in their lives, or who need. I had a girl today. I had a consultation today with a girl, super sweetheart from the UK. She signed up, and then she wanted to cancel, and then she's like, no, I'll do it. And we spoke today, and her family, she was 20 years old. Her family has her so scared to do keto. Like, oh, I had to go and figure out a lot of things about her. She had eating disorders, but didn't realize it. She had some health scares, and I was trying to match the health scare around the same time of under eating. And at the end of this consultation, I was like, do you think this was worth it? She's like, oh, it was so worth it. She had been listening to her family telling her that it was a waste of money, and she's a student. And then in the end, she's like, because I said, I don't just talk about keto. We going into the health, right? We need to talk about why there was certain health issues. Like, where did it start? How did it start? And I go there with you guys because I'm not afraid to ask the deeper questions. And then I'm able to go, and so we deconstruct, and then we reconstruct a whole new understanding and a strategy. So for those people who are asking me these, like, oh, how do I fix adrenal fatigue? I'm like, well, I don't know you. I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you do. And to really help these issues, that's what I need. Or just join the course group. That'll get you a lot closer. Okay, let me see. 2 days before 48 ketones, 24 after lunch, 2 days later. Yeah, but Keishel, did you have hypoglycemic symptoms? You have to include that as well. It's fully hydrogenated lard, okay? I mean, why? Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Great content. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. Do you recommend any diet other than the keto to be healthier? Carnivore diet? But nah, it should be keto carnivore because we're trying to drive ketones. No, I don't recommend any other diet. Nope. I mean, like I said, you guys heard me. If you guys just came in, watch the replay, sometimes I have people eat low glycemic carbohydrates because they're just chronically hypoglycemic and they're low electrolyte. But I'm starting to think if they had really, 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 really healthy, like if they ate heart, kidney, tongue, brain, liver, and grass-fed, and kept their fats over 200, cut down their veggies but not cut it out, rotation, they might actually heal their body from this hypoglycemic rebound. But I haven't done enough experimentation, which is why I keep asking Keishel over and over again, how did you feel on 48 milligrams per deciliter blood sugar? And he has not told me yet. Because Keishel has definite issues with foods, certain foods. My focus, I had, what is it? My focus, and I had headache, so I tested. Okay. What? Your focus? Did I miss something you said, Keishel? I don't know. 2 days before I hit 48, ketones were 2 before lunch later, and it plummeted. So it went lower than a 48, Keishel. You know what, Keishel, you're going to have to talk to me on the course page, because I'm just super confused. Can somebody explain to Jake how you donate? There's a money symbol somewhere on the page. I don't know if it's right-hand corner or left or bottom. But there's a little money symbol. You press on it, and then it gives you the ability to donate to the chat. Raging hot flashes is the stress from If you have raging flashes, you were having adrenal problems way before you ever did keto. Keto just exacerbated the problem. It just compacted it. Because if you're not adapting because of prior stress and adrenal insufficiency, that's what makes you flash. I mean, we're a coffee drinker. You guys, I just need more details. Details. But without over detailing, like more details, but consolidated. So Deborah says, Jake, you should see a $ to the right of the line where you type comments. And that is how you donate to a super chat. Okay, I'm a cyclist and race. Can that be why blood sugar is so low? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you can't. I've worked with athletes, I've worked with cyclists and runners. Y'all, marathoners, y'all have to do keto on a break from your training. I'm sorry, you just can't do both. And I know that for a fact because I worked with a runner, a marathoner, for almost a year. And it took him a year to adapt because he kept trying to train through the first stages of his keto adaptation. And that's what we don't want. So, yeah, you got to be very careful. Power rule. You got to be so careful. Yo, like sometimes I have people stop their powerlifting and Olympic lifting and their CrossFit. They're swimming and they're freaking, capoeira, like their jujitsu at night, their Muay Thai, because these classes are always so late until they start adapting. People freak out. I'm like, yep. Nori sheets are good for low iron. No, Dominic, no hemoglobin and no nori sheets, baby cakes. No. You got to do some liver. That's the best, right? Get you some chicken liver. That is the best to raise your iron, your ferritin, and your hemoglobin. Boop! Like that. Better than a steak, better than a bloody steak. That chicken liver. It's beyond healing. I can't even start. Is it normal to have delayed bowel movements? Yes, Jeff. So that could be your thyroid. That could be because you're not drinking enough water. Like, again, I would need to know a little bit more details. Like, did you have any type of constipation before? Did you have any hard stool? Did you ever skip a day with your poopage? Were you drinking coffee? Is it your leaky gut? Because what makes you not be able to poop sometimes is low electrolytes. People don't have enough magnesium, and so they get locked up, enough water, and it's a whole symphony to get you to poop. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna sell that bike. This bike is my baby, okay? I'm in love with this. I'm in love with this bike. In love. Never. No, like you guys said, I'm doing more research on like our gut motility and pooping. Fiber is not digestible, and then some people who eat a lot of fiber get constipated from. Because I have people who've got thyroid issues, and they just do more fiber, and they cannot poop. So sometimes fiber does not give you the motility, and sometimes it does, and it's really a different type of person that is having an issue with the motility and from pooping. So often it's from leaky gut or from candida with your microbiome is off, and that can also disrupt peristalsis. But I just need to know more. If I knew more, I'd be able to tell you more. I just wish that answers were black and white. And I'm starting, because before my other streams, I just try to give an answer to everyone. Thank you so much, Jake. You found the super chat. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate you, Jake. I see you all the time, so thank you so much. Thanks. I love it. And Deborah's always like, yay! I'm like, yay! And Myra says, you guys like up the stream. There are 77 people in this chat and only 67 likes. So for the people who've popped in, when you guys like up the stream, I feel like a broken record. I obviously get more visibility on the World Wide Web of YouTube, and it helps the algorithms. And so I encourage you guys to like up the stream if you like the content. Star's like, oh my god, say hello! Ah! Yes, I'm live. I should be doing earlier streams because I know for people who are like East Coast of the States, it's late, and I know for people who are in Europe and South Africa, it's late. People in Australia, they're loving it. Australia and in Asia, they're like, it's perfect. It's the morning time, you know, it's the afternoon, I'm good. Okay. Welcome, Star. Question, what does it mean if your poop doesn't float, and how do you... Okay, so when your poop sinks, it means what makes your poop float is fat, which we need. That's where all the vitamins are, right? Fat soluble, vitamin D, A, K. It means that you're not hemorrhaging ketones and you're absorbing the fat soluble vitamins. So when your stool is floating, that means that there's fat in your stool. I mean, it could be from gas, but 9 times out of 10, it is from leaky gut or from a sludgy or stony gallbladder. That's what it means. Is it everyone name your football team? No, please don't. Please do not talk about football crap here. Deborah, get on that one, because, like, yo, no. This is not like, yo. And I was a professional skateboarder. If you're like, oh, name your favorite skater, I would also get annoyed. Like, no. Not. Thank you, Deborah, for getting on. John, how do you join the course? Okay, I'm a night shift worker. I know you say it's super hard. It is to adapt. I constantly wake up when I do sleep. Adrenals are so jacked. Any advice? Look, you third shift night worker, I'm telling you, all those other things, like take some yoga, do some Tai Chi, okay? Learn how to diaphragmatically breathe, learn how to strengthen your core, get a straight plumb line, and blue blockers, magnesium. I mean, there's those high quality of food. Get your exercise done when you wake up. Like, don't do it right before you go to work. Don't exercise right when you come home. Don't have a really big meal when you come home at 6 in the morning. You can bring things like broth if you don't have an aversion to the glutamate in bone broth. So you want to get off of like heavier foods to digest later at night, like fiber or protein. So bone broth is a little bit easy to put fat in it. So anything after 12 a.m. at night, you can start drinking to stay like not hungry. Have your last solid meal around 9 or 10 at night, and then drink from broth or fatty teas throughout the night into the morning. So when you go home, you're not hungry because you have a lot of LCTs, long chain fats in your body. Thank you guys for getting the like ratio over the amount of people in the chat. Thank you. Okay, Star says, Steph, my partner has melanoma. Oh, his lungs. He's on chemotherapy. Can he do keto? Will this help? Okay, so Star, here's where, okay, so it is already difficult to adapt with just normal people, right? With stresses and coffee and adrenal problems. So when you're taking this toxic chemo, it becomes 10 times harder. But you can do some types of experiments, because in some people who are so sick, just getting off the processed foods and raising your fats and quality of proteins tends to help boost the immune function. I definitely think he should do all organ meats, straight up, not even kidding. I think you should get a glucometer. I think he should graduate his carbs down very slowly over a couple of weeks. Make sure that you get electrolyte-rich foods. I would keep the fat real high. That means 3 meals. They don't have to be big, but 3 meals with your 3 macros. Even though I'm really careful with the veg. And 2 snacks in between, like mid-morning snack mid-afternoon snack, and even though he's not hungry, that is what I suggest. So it's kind of hard not knowing more, like what are his symptoms, how old he is, if he ever did any type of toxic lifestyle, or what were his food habits in the past. Those things really, really matter. No fasting. Tell him, Stacy. Pork rinds really aren't a good snack. Stop blurring. Because they raise your protein count. They're good to sprinkle on a salad, or to take on a road trip, or on a plane, or if you've got a job where you can't stop and eat, and you can open up a bag of pork rinds, and then you moderate that into your total protein amount for the day. But to just eat, nah. Unless you make your own. You get those homemade chicharrones with like a little bit of the meat on it. It feels like you're eating more meat than like the typical pork rind in a bag. Okay, so how much beef liver a day? I get conflicting information about too much vitamin A, and some say dangerous in supplement. Yeah, so vitamin A is pretty dangerous in supplemental form. And what's really, really amazing about our body chemistry is that your body knows how to use and not use especially with the conversion of your body, how it utilizes vitamin A. So what I would say for people who are afraid to eat too much vitamin A, go in and look at some, organ meat studies. You have to think a lot of the hunter-gatherers ate a lot of organ meats. Our bodies know how to synthesize, use, and not use. Okay, and this is anecdotal, so I'm not telling you a study, but our bodies know how to extract things from whole foods, use and not use. That's the whole point, right? Especially organ meats, which is what we really, really prefer to get a lot of our micronutrients from. So personally, I'm not worried about the vitamin A, but I really suggest you go and read some studies, some meta studies, some peer reviews. I don't care. Go research it. Some hunter-gatherer societies, and then you come to your own conclusion. That's what I say. Thank you, Judith. Thanks so much for joining or contributing to the super chat. Thank you. Very, very kind of you. Let's see here. Is Fitbit? No, it's not. Fitbit Dom is sometimes it's like 50% wrong. So it's just a loose gauge on how to track your sleep. It's not 100%. Thank you, Dom. Okay. Yeah, okay, so that was Dom who wrote that. Yeah, I got beef heart right now. I got some beef heart. So right now I'm eating beef heart and I'm eating liver. And I'm rotating between the two. No heavy cream and coffee. No, because the only dairy that you guys are allowed to take and consume that would even be considered remotely cream would be grass-fed. Raw. No raw coconut meat. The carbs are too hot. That's for people who first start keto. After a while, your guys' carb tolerance begins to rise, but for now, no. And your grass-fed raw must be from an A2 cow and not an A1. No hybrid cows. No cheese. Cheese is super inflammatory. It is casein, and casein destroys the gut, unfortunately. Cheese is the big no-no. And I know this because I have worked with I used to have cheese on my website until nobody was adapting when they were doing all these high cheese keto diets. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not good. So then I had to do the research and learn more about dairy, pasteurized, freaking casein crazy A1 cow, which is the black and white cows. Okay. How about non-casein cheese? No, it all has casein, Lana. It's not casein free. It's just lower. And feta is like those goats and sheep are often fed corn. So if you don't get lucky in one, or you're unlucky in one, you get unlucky in another. Pellegrino? You mean the water? Is that what it says? No. What? Am I reading that wrong? It depends if you want to do a consultation. What is this? What? Oh, Chris, what is it? Chris Loriana. You can go through the website stephanieperson.com. Lost too much weight on keto from 126 to 123, so now I'm trying to increase my food amount. Yeah, sounds like Becky, that's not keto. You're not going to lose that much weight. If you went down to 103 pounds, like your fat was low, you're not hitting 200 grams of fat. You are under eating times a billion. Nope. And I know nothing about this individual whatsoever. But with that said, you guys, it is, oh, thank you, Star. Thank you. Could thyroid health problems develop after you start keto? No. Thyroid health problems are always before, and it comes out when you do keto the wrong way. Remember that, Christina. Thyroid problems have always been there. You don't develop thyroid problems on keto. Having problems with your thyroid stimulating hormone, your T4 to T3 conversion, free T3, the antibodies, this came way before you did keto. And then you do keto the wrong way and it exacerbates the problem. That's when people become constipated, they get cold, and their hair starts shedding, and that's the number one issue that I see. Hi, Patricia. Yeah, you're welcome, Star. Okay, I had a consult with you months ago. Very strict keto, but probably not eating enough fat. Oh, Becky. Probably. You are not, for sure, Gary. Let's show Stephanie some support. Like up the stream. Stephanie's given a lot of information tonight. Oh, thank you, Gary. Hearts. Thank you. And we have a different Gary today. Oh! Well, thank you. Is it Isaacson? Thank you so much, Gary Isaacson. That was very sweet of you. Thank you for donating to Super Chat. And I really would like that the people who donate to just put a little question out there or comment. Right? I've never seen this, Gary, before. So thank you so much for donating. To be honest, like, it's hard with the books because they're always incomplete, right? So The Art and Science of Low Carb Living by Steve Finney and Jeff Bullock is a great book in the context of proving that your body can convert ketone bodies into a viable source of energy that can get into the Krebs cycle and pass the blood-brain barrier to be used. But then they tell you to take bouillon cubes for your electrolytes. Then they just kind of like miss the mark on a lot of things. You guys know I love Nora Gagatis. She's really, really amazing when it comes to how our bodies were in the wild as hunter-gatherers. So we have a better understanding of how this is very primal. Then there is this Natasha, what's her name? Dr. Natasha, she's Russian, Newport or something. Like, really love this woman because she's really explaining the anti-nutrients in plants more, and how your microbiome is destroyed and how that creates depression and all this type of stuff and nutritional deficiencies. I really love her. She's not a keto proponent, but she's definitely a be careful for the anti-nutrients in plants, meaning eat really well-sourced protein. And like, you know, the other books that are coming out, I mean, you guys, I stopped looking at what other people are doing. I used to always pay attention, so maybe perhaps there's a better book out there that I'm not aware of. But so far, a lot of them tend to miss the mark. They don't really ask all the questions. You guys know that I'm writing a book. It will soon be done. I've been saying this for a long time, but I really just want to make sure it is very clear, easy to read, and you never get bored. Oh, so we got a troll in the house, Deborah. She's on it. She's like, pow, pow, pow. I love that Deborah was on that troll. I didn't even see it. Thank you, Deborah. Gary's like, I've learned a lot from Stephanie. She got me on track after other experts bumped me out of keto. Wow. Yes, Natasha Campbell. Yes, thank you. I can't remember her name, but like sometimes I'll land on her information, and she's just so amazing when it comes to the gut and when it comes to our food resource. She's just like very interesting woman. Oh, so Stacy says, Bruce asked how to get your. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how severe your health issues are while your hair is falling out. So I'm like, you guys go to bed real early, diaphragmatic breathe, don't exercise late at night, don't eat cheese, eat every, especially fat every couple of hours in the first stage of keto. Don't overeat your protein. The main problem for hair falling out is fat too low, because we had this one woman who was at 126 pounds and went down to 103. That's not eating enough fat. And a lot of people are like, I'm still hungry. So they don't eat enough, and they don't realize that they might have a gallbladder issue or something that's preventing them to break down and digest the fats, which makes people not hungry. See, never mind. I know. So I can't wait until it's published. I know, me too. You know, there's more. It's more complicated with the book. There's a lot more going on in the process of writing a book, which I don't talk about in my streams. But it will come out, you guys. Just be patient. And you have this kind of thing like, oh, I should have had it come out before the keto wave. And I was like, no, let all the crappy books come out, and then mine will come out, and people will be like, oh, finally something that covers everything and not just sections that can be very anecdotal, even though I'm very anecdotal. What to get before she sees it through the unnecessary what? Get to them. Deborah, getting to the trolls before I see them. Exactly. Take your time with the book. Yeah, I think because my book didn't come out earlier, I'm so glad, because now I have even more data about the gut. Now I have more data about this intermittent fasting and carnivore, like everybody's doing the carnivore, and I'm trying to tell people you don't have to eat raw meat and only raw meat, because we are omnivores, and so you want to be able to do the carnivore. Specifically, if you have autoimmunity, any type of damage, this can help you. There are carnivores who went full carnivore for a year, enough to allow their body to heal, and start slowly introducing some veggies into their diet, but not like a ton. I feel super happy and healthy every day, eating 7 bags of potato chips. Deborah, you want to get on that, or are you trolling? Or are you really saying that 7 bags of potato chips? I just don't have time for it, bro. I'm not you in the wrong stream. Like, stop killing me. You could say whatever. You could say that you fly too, like just by flapping your arms. Pricing hard to get, but still have access to fish roe. Implement if you do diet every what? Every now and then. Most nutrient dense food is there. Okay, one thing I find is no one talks about is acid levels in the liver, especially the AST levels. You got to contextualize that, Lord Fowl. You mean because the keto does not disrupt the liver filtration. If you have let's say fatty liver disease from alcoholism or non-fatty liver disease, it might, in theory, be more difficult of the conversion, the making of ketones, but it doesn't create liver damage. And you can find data on that. And no one I've worked with have had any problems eating a high-fat diet, complaining of more kidney issues, liver and kidney filtration. And Lord, I mean, just contextualize your comment, and maybe some people don't know. Who knows? People are just starting to do keto as well, and they do it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. If you went carnivore, would you get potassium from? Let's say if you did the carnivore diet, you can get potassium. You still get potassium from organ meats, but you get a really good supply of potassium from bone broth if you don't have a glutamate issue. And your potassium storages are more regulated on getting away from inflammatory foods like hybrid vegetables if you're having a problem with them. So you wouldn't have to worry about your potassium if you eat super farm raised, fresh slaughtered animal protein. You're going to get higher levels of potassium. You're going to heal that gut so you absorb your potassium better. And thank you, Becky. Ahara, thank you so much. And also you can get potassium, quite a good amount of potassium from bone broth. But I'm still an omnivore. I don't do carnivore. I'm keto all the way. But I like the idea of carnivore aspects, right? I'm always like, don't eat lean meats, because everybody who does this trends, I don't mean the people who are like really learn about their autoimmunity and they know not to eat a bunch of lean meats, but people who do the carnivore because they don't know how to implement a high fat ketogenic lifestyle with their carnivorism. If they don't know how to add a bunch of fat, like, oh, you can add pastured lard and you can add tallow to your cuts of fatty meat to make sure that your ketone production still remains high while you're healing the gut. You see, can you get fat from just butter or ghee? Some people have really hard times with eating butter because of having leaky gut, histamine issues, so then you couldn't just get it from butter or ghee. But in theory, if you don't have any type of histamine reaction to butter, you could, but what are you going to do, eat chicken breast and butter? No, you would have to eat fatty meat, so no, you wouldn't just get it from butter. Yeah. Sold was a Costco. Okay. Bum because Whole Foods nearby doesn't sell organic. Well, just go to US can't talk. This is what happens when you don't sleep well. Go to uswellnessmeat.com. Okay, so Keishel, you're getting 400 grams of fat. Is your stool floating? And you know what, Keishel, we can talk about this on the course page because I just need to know more details of why your blood sugar dropped so low. And if you had any symptoms of hypoglycemia with such low blood sugar. Okay, guys, I'm going over an hour. I can't do what I keep doing in the past with super long streams. And I get off. I'm tired. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. And then the evening comes and I never get anything done. So I got to learn how to cut it off sooner. People with hypothyroidism be on keto. Yes. Look, MKKG, yes. You can absolutely have thyroid issues and do keto, but you've got to be super disciplined with everything that I just mentioned in this video. Oh, and Cherry has hypothyroidism. Let's see, Steph, I get my meat from local small farm, but they have no nutrition facts. How can I guess if my protein in? I mean, I don't know if you're male or female, but if you're a female, you keep it around 2 to 3 ounces of a fatty cut, and that should pretty much keep you in a safe amount of protein so you don't over protein. Like, don't do 5 ounces, especially if you're a female. Men can go up to 5 ounces of protein, and just make sure you really chew it well and digest it, and chew slowly, digest well, and don't pack it all at once. Eat breakfast at 5:30, lunch, working is until 1:40. Can I have a snack? And then, yes, please. So, like I said, you could do, if you don't have any problems with avocado, you can have an avocado, you can have a fatty tea, you can have a fatty bone broth. Just factor in the amount of protein in broth. There's from 5 to 10 grams of protein, depending on how many cups of broth you take in a thermos, and then add a ton of fat to it. You enjoy my stories. Oh, ground meat versus steak. I mean, with ground meat, I think they just kind of throw in a lot of the fattier bits. And so sometimes if you're going to do like a sirloin steak or skirt steak, something over the ground 85-15, I'd rather do ground. But, you know, it's a process. So they process the meat, they grind it up. And I'm not an expert on that, so you got to talk to a butcher and ask that. Okay, you guys want a story before I go? And then I'm going to go. Then I'm definitely going to go. Does anybody want me to do a quick story time? You're Scorpio, now you're here? Yes, story, okay. What do you guys want me to talk about? Like, I literally, because it's me, I don't know what to talk about. Hey, Shala. Thank you, Star. Okay. Let me pull out the subjects and you guys can tell me what you'd rather have me talk about. Yeah, stop with the probiotic, Stacy. You're probably taking too high amounts in the wrong strains. You probably have a dysbiosis of the gut. No, I'm not. I don't have a boyfriend right now. Africa. Hmm. Okay, I have an African story for you guys. So, because I've been to Africa like 4 times, different parts of Africa, and I got a couple now. Things are popping into my head. Okay, I'll talk about South Africa, right? Because I have African stories when I was in Tanzania and when I was in Egypt, which is, I have a really good story about being in the back of a truck and another truck, and that was sketchy as frack. But how about if I tell you about something like South Africa? So, because I'm 50, turning 51, I grew up in the era of apartheid. And I remember seeing those things on the news, and you would see people go into, what's the neighborhood called? The shanty town, it's called. The famous one, it's called, my brain just slipped me right now. It's called, what's it called again, you guys, in Johannesburg? All the shootings were. They had student protesters, and the military went and just started shooting at all of them. These poor people. Uh, so, so for me, and the whole like when I was growing up, there was that song "Free Nelson Soweto," exactly, which I went to. Free Nelson Mandela. Got to free Nelson Mandela. You know, and I used to sing that song when I think I was in high school, just when I graduated. So you would hear about the places in, what was it called? Sun Valley. Like Americans would go over and play at this resort that was super racist. And good night, Dom. And it'd take me to get this physique. Well, I'm 50 and I started working out at 30. So to get this physique today, yeah, 20 years. That's what's up. So I was very curious. When I travel, I become immersed in the culture. Okay, when I went to Bali, I was like immersed in the culture. When I'm going to Australia, I'm like, oh my god, an Aboriginal person. Let me talk to them. It was the only person I saw who was dark skinned too. I was like, this brother is not mixed. I need to talk to this guy. Like I become very fascinated by these cultures. When I was in Egypt, I was so fascinated about the mixing in Egypt, especially in Cairo. I was really fascinated by the Nubian culture. And when I went to Nubia, right, which is South Egypt, and they were like, Nubian? Like they would say that all the time because of the way I look. And so you don't become a like completely barraged by people trying to sell stuff to you. You just shake your head, either Arabic or Nubian. I'd be like, yeah, that's what I am, but I'm totally not. So when I went to South Africa, I was so curious because now we're post apartheid. And Sun City, exactly. Sun City. So I got apartheid because I have a friend who used to live in LA who was like, white dude. He lived in LA for a long time. He's like, you gotta go to South Africa. And I was like, one day, one day, one day. And then I finally went, but then we're not friends anymore because he's going through depression because he was vegan. And I'm not kidding, vegan for 15 years. And he was like, I'm so depressed, don't come and visit me. I was like, whatever. So I go there, and I go to Johannesburg first. Oh, yeah. So I have a friend here who's also from another friend he's an actor here, and he's like, oh, stay with my friend. So I stay with this dude. Now you can see I interviewed him many times. I went twice, 6 months apart. And I interviewed him for my videos talking about his experience, okay, as an African, Afrikaans, Afrikaner, African, there's British, there's Dutch, and there's the African, and then there's Africans from other countries that are seen as like like not as good as the Africans from South Africa, the different nations and Zulu and this and whatever. So I interviewed him. If you check out my, I need to go and put together a playlist so you guys can find those African videos. But he was talking about, because he travels, he's a writer, so he looks for African, okay, African accent, but traveling internationally, he comes from a very, very small port town, and we were talking about, good night, Jeffrey, we were talking about his experience being raised right outside of Johannesburg in a small little community farm where they raised their own food, chickens, pig, and they had their own gardens and small little like farms to farm food, plant source foods. And he was saying that to be able to eat at McDonald's was a privilege. And so white people only ate at McDonald's, or you had to have money at that time, many, many years ago. So, and still to this day, eating at McDonald's is a luxury, but eating organic foods is seen as poverty. It's very interesting, the psychology of things. So, I go ultimately to Cape Town. Now in Cape Town, because in South Africa you have Indians, a big population of Indians, you have the Dutch and the British. They don't like each other. And because, the Dutch speak Dutch and the British don't speak Dutch, or they're supposed to learn, it's like their Dutch isn't that great. They learn it in school, whatever. And I go to Johannesburg, and there's like it's like being in New York in some ways until you go to like the ghetto. Then it's like all like these abandoned buildings and all the Africans from the surrounding Zimbabwe and all the stuff, they come to Johannesburg for work, right? Because it's the more modernized African country. So they come to South Africa for work, and they're in these abandoned buildings, and you driving down one street, it's all like looking like New York. You drive down another street and it looks like post-apocalyptic war. It's a freaking trip. But when I was in Johannesburg, and the white people, because I know a lot of white people, right? They're doing sort of like low carb, high fat Banting diet. So I was around a lot of white people there, and their perception, like even though we're post-apartheid, they don't, like, you go to the mall, nobody, like, black kids with black kids, white kids with white kids, Indians with Indians, and the kids don't hang out with each other. And that's what I love about living in LA. It's like, well, more this than this. And I literally, oh, pal, hi. That irritated the crap out of me. And then, like, white people have these big walls around their property because they come from old money, right? And the economy is just crashing in South Africa. And so they're afraid of poor Africans jumping and robbing them. So I thought they were a little bit too paranoid, okay? I was like, y'all a little too paranoid, okay? Because somebody tried to rob me when I was in, what town? I forget what it was, near the beach. And somebody tried to rob me, and I still wasn't scared after that. I was like, yeah. I had a gold chain on. It was a different one. A person, like, was a junkie that tried to just rip it off my neck, and I punched him in the face, and, like, it ended. I literally was like, boom! Because I saw him grab my neck, right? And I just punched him, and I punched like a guy. I'm sorry, I do. And, like, he literally fell back. And then somebody tried to grab me the necklace from the back, and I punched him like this. Boom. And they both left. Which then another person said, yeah, but they could have had a knife. And I was like, well, didn't think that far then. I was like, nobody will touch my necklace, okay? So I punched. I was like, yo, I'm from LA. Try to do that again, mother sucker. Do that again. I was so pissed. I was heated. But anyway, I digress. I still wasn't scared after that. But I went to Cape Town and buffed. What is it? Buffered. So, you with the South African culture, explore. No, I stayed with people, child. No, I was off in it with the locals. That's how Cuba, Brazil, South Africa. I'm chilling and staying with the locals, bruh. It's all good. It's all gravy. I got the videos on YouTube if you want to check that out. Just saying. All right. So when I was in Cape Town, that was quite interesting. I was taking Ubers, and all the Uber drivers are African, and not only that, a lot of them are from the surrounding countries. And I get in the car, and the guy's like, you know, we were talking, and I was not making sense to him, and he was like, "But you're South African." I was like, "Can you not hear this American accent?" He's like, "Huh?" I go, "Because people with my complexion are called colored." Straight up, you got colored. So like apartheid was a segregation of every ethnic group, and they were not able to intermingle. They considered them races. Now I'm mixed up with a bunch of stuff, so I don't consider people of different ethnic backgrounds races. There's no such thing. So especially in certain cultures and like haplogroups, these are very interesting when you look at migrational patterns. But anyway, so my color of skin, is this scuffed, you guys? Is it buffering still? Is this still buffering, you guys? Because then I'll just finish the story next video. Oh, you're good? Is it good, you guys? Okay, good. When you guys don't hear me well, I just get a headache. Like literally my head starts pounding. Okay, so I'm in this Uber and I talk to every African. Like I want to know their perspective. Where's my phone? I can show you all. Hold on. You just wait. I'll show you South Africa. So, hold on a second, all right? I'll be right back. Where's my phone? Where's my other phone? Here it is. Shoot. That's what we have Instagram for. Hold on a sec, guys. Kind of make this visual. Okay, let's see here. Hold on one sec. So this is my old phone and it is super slow, so bear with me. By the way, you guys, go to my Instagram. It's Stephanie Ketogenic. So go to the Instagram, but I'm going to pull up some of the South Africa stuff I'm talking about to give you guys a visual. I got receipts, right? Yo, I got me some receipts. Okay. All right. I've shown you some of this stuff on my Instagram. Okay, so let's see here. So I love South Africa so much, I went twice back to back. That's in Cape Town. Hold on, because I want another time. This one was my first time, right? So this is in Soweto. The little girl was giving me a fist bump. See that? She gave me a little pound on the fist. Let's see here. I remember when I first got there, it was my first day. Okay, I don't know what the big deal is about doing keto on the road. What? I'm in Africa, it looks funky, I know, but check this out. What? Really? You can do keto anywhere. Okay, let's see here. So here's an apartheid museum, if you guys can see. See that? See that? Okay. That was such an incredible trip. But anyway, I think I have one of these Uber drivers. I think, wait, hold on. Because you know, Uber there is everywhere and it's super, super cheap. Hold on a sec, hold on. Yo, this is for real, right? That's when you go into those places where you can drive and be around the lions, and there's like 20 of them. Like, they would never have this in the States because people roll down their window and the cats go and pull them out and eat them. And people have done stupid things like that. Okay, yeah, here's more of that lion place that I went to. It's from the car. You feel so sketch with that? Okay, hold on, because I forget that I went to Ecuador too, but wait, in between and a bunch of places in between. Hold on a sec. Sorry guys, I'm just looking for a couple of things. I also did a talk in Australia, Keto talk. That's the only one I saw. The only one. It irks me because the people I stayed with were like, oh, you know, you guys have shown you this one in Bali.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Look at this one.
But you call him Martin. And I started talking to him, and what did you say about me?
I just saw as Lebanese like Indonesian. No, I think since Indonesian, I don't think so that he come from America. That's why I'm excited.
Yes.
Like in Bali, they could not understand that I was American. They were like, everywhere I went, they thought I was Balinese. But anyway, so the point of this, why is my phone going out of focus? That's so annoying. Okay, so the point of these stories is I get into the taxi driver. He can't understand. Why? Because you don't see that many Black Americans in different countries. You just don't see it. You're used to white people. And so I'm in South Africa in the Uber, and the guy does not matter how I'm like, oh my God, so fabulous. It doesn't matter if I spoke like that. He still saw me as a colored person because in South Africa, there's a colored group because they mix. And then apartheid came and they weren't allowed to mix anymore. And so that was a real trip that everywhere I went, I was seen as colored and not African. I was seen as mixed African. And then when they figured out that I was an American, then I got treated even better. So it's like, this is a very interesting experience for me. And I spoke to one guy who was colored, and he was like, yeah, like, yo, like 30 years ago, when I was like in high school, he was like around my age, he was like, you would go, and this is Africans too, you go downtown to be like the janitors and like cleaning up the offices, and you had to be, okay, you had to be clear out of the financial district and the office that you worked out, because if you were there after 5 p.m., like on the DL, they could mess you up. They could take you around the corner and beat your